Hello, my dear friends and viewers. Good morning to everyone. In this video, we are going to cover about the one of the important writs, writ of certiorari. Writ of certiorari is one of the important writ which is prescribed under Article 226 of the Indian Constitution. This video will be helpful to those students or viewers those are preparing for the setnet are also those who are preparing for the MPSC, UPSC or any other examination which are related to the judicial examination. My intention behind this video is that to provide the suitable material for the student, viewers, whoever are need of this. I'm also trying to cover, I'm also trying to provide in the details about the writs. So, dear, now I am going to start the video. Writ of the certiorari is one of the important writ which we have already discussed in the Article 226 of the Indian Constitutions. One of the important intention of this writ is what? Why needed to issue this kind of the writs? When to issue this type of the writs? Who can issue this type of the writs? These are the main important points. Those we can see in details. Also, we will also discuss here some case law which are related to writ of certiorari and other writs. The writ of certiorari is an order of High Court. Is an order of High Court issued to inferior court, tribunals, authority to transmit to it the record of proceeding pending with them for scrutiny and if necessary for causing the same. In an often cited English case, Atkin LJ said the certiorari may issue wherever any body of person having legal authority to determine the question affecting the right of subject and having the duty to act judicially act in excess of their legal authority. It means that if any authority, any tribunal, if any government agency which is established under the Indian law, it is the if those tribunals, those authority, if access jurisdictions, access of jurisdictions It means that whenever any inferior court excess of their jurisdiction, it means that the court has not the jurisdiction, even though they are trial on it, then superior court, high court can issue a writ of certiorari. The writ of certiorari goes to a body per sorry, the writ of certiorari goes to a body performing judicial or quasi-judicial function for correcting error of jurisdiction. As when an inferior court or tribunal act without jurisdiction or in excess of it or fails to exercise it. In all these cases, there is a defect of jurisdiction or power and the writ of certiorari lies. The want of jurisdiction may arise from the nature of the subject matter of the proceeding, so that the inferior court had no authority to enter on inquiry or upon some part of it. Rafiq Khan versus State of UP is one of the case in which a ground has been explained. Let's we see under section 85 Uttar Pradesh Panchayat Raj Act 1947, the sub-divisional magistrate has no jurisdiction to modify the order of conviction and sentence passed by Panchayati Adalat. He can either cause the entire order or cancel the jurisdiction of the Panchayati Adalat. Where the jury where the sub-divisional magistrate maintained the conviction of accused in respect of one of the offence only and caused their conviction in respect of other offence. The Allahabad High Court held that the order was against the provision of section 85 and caused it by a writ of certiorari. 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 In an English case where the Minister of Transport was authorized to hear appeal from application to Traffic Commissioner for licenses but was not entitled to deal with the revocation of license, and on an appeal purported to direct the future revocation of a license. The court quashed his decision on ground of ultra vires. Again, want of jurisdiction may arise from the absence of some preliminary proceedings. For example, omission to service notice when required by law. The court itself may not be legally the court itself may not be legally constituted or suffer from certain disability by reason of extraneous circumstances. The want of jurisdiction may also arise where the law which purported to give jurisdiction to the tribunal is unconstitutional. Similarly, where a tribunal wrongfully declined to exercise jurisdiction vested in it, a certiorari will issue to cause the decision. In simple words, we can say that we we can say in simple word that if any inferior court, any tribunal, if they access their jurisdiction, if they have not jurisdiction to try any cases, if they have not the power to deal with those cases, if those dealt with them, to their judgment, their decision will be caused, will be rejected by the High Court of that states. And at this stage, the higher court can issue the writ of certiorari. So it is one of the important subject matter that whenever if any court access their jurisdiction, at this time the writ of certiorari may be issued by High Court. Clear cut? तो कहने का मतलब यही है सिंपल लैंग्वेज में, अगर कोई भी इंफीरियर कोर्ट अपना जुरिडिक्शन अगर एक्सेस कर देती है या अपने जुरिडिक्शन के अलावा कोई काम कर लेती है ना, कोई जजमेंट ले लेती है या दे देती है, तो ऐसे केसेस में हाई कोर्ट उस डिसीजन को, उस जजमेंट को रिजेक्ट कर देती है ना। तो यही इसके पीछे एक बेनिफिट्स, एक इंटेंशन दिया गया है। दूसरा और एक इम्पॉर्टेंट ग्राउंड इसमें दिया है, वायलेशन ऑफ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस। ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है, सब्जेक्ट है। अगर कोई कोर्ट, कोई ट्रिब्यूनल अपने जजमेंट में नेचुरल जस्टिस का इन्फ्रिजमेंट किया है या ब्रीच किया है, तो ऐसे स्थिति में, ऐसे केस में भी हाई कोर्ट writ of certiorari will issue. So writ of certiorari will lie to set aside the decision in violation of natural justice. Decision, the writ of certiorari will lie to set aside decision in violation of the principle of natural justice. The law recognizes two principles. The law recognizes two principles of natural justice. You know about that. Adi alteram partem and bias or interest. The former means that the party be given an adequate notice and opportunity to be heard, and the latter that an adjudicator be disinterested and unbiased. The requirement of reasoned decision is also added to these two as the third principle of natural justice. The rule of natural justice are not a rigid norms of unchanging content. Each of two main rules embrace a number of sub-rules which may vary in their application according to the context. In the words of the Supreme Court, The extent and application of doctrine of natural justice cannot be imprisoned within the straitjacket of rigid formula. The application of the doctrine depend upon the nature of jurisdiction conferred on the administrative authority upon the character of right of the person affected in the particular case. In other words, this would mean that what procedure in particular case would satisfy the condition of natural justice would vary according to the circumstances of particular case. Violation of principle of natural justice, in which two principles are the very important. Out of that, one important is a adi altrum partum. Here the other side. Any justice, any decision delivered by the court, delivered by the inferior court, without hearing other side, it means that such court, yeah, that authority is misused the power and infringed the principle of natural justice. The principle is that both the sides should have a full and fair hearing. What? The principle is that both sides should have a full and fair hearing. Every judicial and quasi-judicial body must give a reasonable opportunity to the party affected to put forth their case. This is the commonly described as the right of fair hearing or right to be heard. No man should be condemned unheard. In other words, the rule of adi altrum partum means that the party whose civil rights are affected in a judicial or quasi-judicial proceeding must have reasonably notice of the case. He has to meet an opportunity of stating his case. It is a rule of procedure which command the deciding authority to give both parties in the issue a fair and equal opportunity to state their case and to correct or contradict any relevant statement prejudicial to their view. If a party does not avail himself of that opportunity and if a party does not avail himself of that opportunity and fail to place his case before the court or tribunal either personally or through a lawyer, there is no denial of justice to him and he is himself to blame if he allow the opportunity of being heard to slip away. Thus, where collector of custom passed an order of confiscation without notice and without inquiry, the order was held to be in contravention of the principle of natural justice. The notice served on party should not be vague, uncertain, or and ambiguous. So, the main fundamental intention of the issuing this type of the writ is that whenever any authority, whenever any tribunal, whenever any inferior court not heard other sides, it is the duty of the court or tribunal. They have to listen They have to hear the both sides. They require some evidence. Whatever evidence provided by the both party, they should be accepted, criticized, and after the proper examination, after the proper analysis, inferior court or tribunal, any authority, they should reach at the conclusion. It is the one of the most important intention has been given to the general publics. So this is the one of the important principle. If infringed, so then this kind of the writ of certiorari may be issued by the High Court. In a Travancore Ryan Ltd versus Union of India, the Supreme Court quashed the government order, which was issued in a printed form, asserting that the government has carefully considered the point made by the applicant but see no justification for interfering with the order in appeal and accordingly rejected the revision application. The order was not speaking order and gave no reason for rejection. However, the order of Collector of Custom against whom revision application was made gave a detailed decision spelling out the reason. Nevertheless, the court pointed out that if the officer on behalf of the government chooses to give no reason, the right of appeal will be devoid of any substance. Thus, an adequate disclosure of material justifying an inference that there has been a judicial consideration of dispute by an authority competent in that behalf in the light of the claim by aggrieved party is necessary. And one of one of the buys and interested this is also one of the principle. If this principle is not considered while delivering the judgment, while passing the order by inferior court, by any judicial authority, any tribunal, at this stage, at this time also, the writ of certiorari may be issued by superior court, by high court. So bias and interest. The other rule of natural justice is that the judge must not have interest or bias in subject matter of decision. Mineral Development Ltd versus State of Bihar. Mineral Development Ltd, the Supreme Court has made it clear that tribunals are authority, though they are not court of justice or judicial tribunal, are as much bound by doctrine of bias as any other tribunal. The principle governing the doctrine of bias are that no man shall be judged in his own cause. Justice should not only be done but manifestly and undoubtedly seem to be done. These 2 points are very important. No man shall be judged in his own cause. And another is justice should not only be done but manifestly, undoubtedly seem to be done. It means that if member of judicial body is subject to a bias, whether financial or other, in favor or against any party to dispute, is in such a position that bias must be assumed to exist. He ought not to take part in the decision or sit on the tribunal. Any direct pecuniary interest, however small in the subject matter of inquiry, will disqualify a judge, and any other interest, though not pecuniary, will have the same effect if it is sufficiently substantial to create reasonable suspicion of bias. Reason for this clearly is that having to adjudicate between two or more parties, the adjudicator must give his adjudication with an independent mind, without any indication of bias toward one side or other in dispute. This is very important principle. While passing the judgment, while delivering the judgment or decision or order, inferior court should not interested in that decision, should not favor any party. If any party favored, if any party favored, it means that you have broken the rule of natural justice. You have infringed the rule of law. So it is very important that no man shall be judged in his own cause. Again, in another case, also talked about that in Damas versus Grand Junction Canal, a decree of Lord Cottenham was set aside on ground that he held share in company, though it was not suggested that he was influenced by that fact in his decision. Similarly, in another English case, a town planning scheme was set aside where one of the members of the local authority concerned had personal interest as the owner of land to which the scheme related. The Mineral Development Ltd case is an interesting example. The Mineral Development Ltd case is an interesting example of personal bias. The proprietor in that case had granted a mining lease to the company for all mineral in respect of leased property, and the company subsequently obtained under the Bihar Mica Act 1947 a license for mica mining. The proprietor, either directly or because of his wife, was very much interested in the company. Some time afterward, the state government, after an inquiry, cancelled the license of the company. There was evidence to show that there was acute political rivalry between the revenue minister who was in charge of the department dealing with mines. When the license in favor of company was cancelled, the government and proprietor who leased the mines to the company, it was held that the revenue minister had a personal bias against the proprietor and he should not have taken part in either initiating the inquiry or in cancelling the license. The political rivalry between the revenue minister and the proprietor was reasonably suggestive of farmer becoming biased against the latter and affecting the farmer's power of judgment to act in an impartial manner. Though this principle is also very important, which we already discussed. Another another subject also important that we going to discuss here with error of law. As we discussed earlier points, excess of jurisdictions, infringement of natural justice, and bias and interested, and one of the error of law. Error of law is also one of the important subject matter while delivering judgment or while order by inferior court. Error of law. An error of law in decision or determination itself may also be amenable to a writ of certiorari, but it must be manifest error apparent on the face of the proceeding. An error of law in decision determination itself may also be amenable to a writ of certiorari, but it must be manifest error apparent on face of the proceeding. For example, when it is based on the clear ignorance, disregards of the provision of law. In other words, it is patent or self-evidence error of law which can be corrected by the certiorari but not a mere wrong decision. An error of fact, however grave it may appear, cannot be corrected by a writ of certiorari. The reason for rule is that the jurisdiction of High Court to issue a writ of certiorari is supervisory jurisdiction and the court exercising it is not entitled to act as an appellate court. What is an error of law? Apparent on the face of record. What is an error of law? Apparent on the face of record. It has been pointed out that no error could be said to be an error on face of record if it was not self-evident and if it required an examination or argument to establish it, where two inferences are reasonably possible, where two inferences are reasonably possible and subordinate court has chosen to take one view, the error cannot be called a gross or patent. This test might afford a satisfactory basis for decision in majority of cases, but the test is not infallible and may break down because judicial opinion also differ and an error that might be considered by one judge as self evident might not be so considered by another. The fact is that what is an error apparent on face of record cannot be defined precisely or exhaustively, there being an element of indefiniteness inherent in its nature, and it must be left to determine judicially on fact of each case. but appreciation of democracy, sorry, but error in appreciation of documentary evidence or affidavit, error in drawing or omitting inference, are not error of law apparent on face of record. One of the case law in which talked about the error of law. Let us we see Syed Yaqub versus K.S. Radhakrishnan, AR 1964 SC 477, is an important decision on scope of the error of law apparent on face of record. The fact were that the appellant and the respondent were rival claimant for stage carriage permit on certain routes. The Transport Appellate Tribunal, mainly influenced by the fact that the appellant had a workshop at one terminus of the route in question, whereas respondent had a workshop and a place of business only at an intermediate station of route, issued the permit to the appellant. The respondent moved the High Court for writ of certiorari on ground that in coming to conclusion that he had no workshop at the terminus, the tribunal had miserably failed to consider material evidence adduced by him. The High Court quashed the decision of tribunal on that ground. On appeal to Supreme Court, it was held by a majority of 4 to 1 that the question whether the respondent had workshop at the terminus of the route was a pure decision of fact, and High Court had no jurisdiction to interfere with the finding recorded by tribunal. To the question, if failure to consider material evidence adduced by a party amounted to error of law apparent on the face of record, Gajendra Gadkar J, as he then was for a majority, said, an error of law which is apparent on face of the record can be corrected by writ, but not an error of fact. However grave it may appear to be, the only case where finding of fact might be impugned on the ground of error of law apparent on face of the records. Erroneously refusing to admit admissible and material evidence, erroneously admitting inadmissible evidence which is influenced by the finding, a finding of fact based the inference of fact to be drawn from the said finding are within the exclusive jurisdiction of tribunal, and the said point cannot be agitated before a writ court. There is a difference between a finding based on sufficiency or adequacy of evidence and a finding based on no evidence. If the finding of fact recorded by the tribunal is based on no evidence, such finding would suffer from error of law apparent on the face of records. The court issuing writ certiorari, as pointed out above, as pointed out earlier, act in exercise of supervisory and not appellate jurisdiction. One consequences one consequences of this is that the court will not review finding of fact reached by inferior court or tribunal even if they are erroneous. This is on the principle that a court which jurisdiction to decide has jurisdiction to decide wrongly as well as rightly, and when the legislature does not choose to confer a right of appeal against the decision, it would be defeating its purpose and policy. If Superior Court were to rehear the case on evidence and substitute its finding, the function of certiorari is to cause the offending order and not to substitute a new order in its place. This point to be remembered. The function of certiorari is to cause the offending order and not to substitute a new order in its place. The court issuing certiorari to cause, however, could not substitute its own decision on the merit or give direction to the compiled with by the court or tribunal. Its work was districtive. Its work was districtive. It simply wiped out the order passed without jurisdiction and left the matter there. Judicial order passed by High Court or in relation to proceeding pending before it are not open to be corrected by the certiorari. Such order can be corrected by appeal or revision as may be permissible. Accordingly, the Supreme Court is not the competent to issue a writ of certiorari on a petition under Article 32, either by the party to proceeding or by a stranger on plea that the order passed by the court adversely affected his fundamental rights. Writ is not an appropriate remedy to question a judicial order or a decree of High Court. A writ of certiorari or a writ in a nature of certiorari cannot be issued for declaring an act or ordinance unconstitutional or void, but it is worth considering whether a decision based on a unconstitutional act ordinance can be caused by certiorari and therefore incidentally the act or ordinance also stand invalidated. A writ of certiorari can be issued by High Court to court subordinates to it but not to High Court or even to its own bench, much less to Supreme Court or any of its benches. So dear my friends, I would like to conclude the writ of certiorari herewith, and I hope you would like this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe the channel and encourage me to for making the further video for your helpfuls. In my next video, I am going to talk about the writ of prohibitions. So please, thank you everyone. Okay.